Well, things have happened along the way. As far as the book was concerned, I wanted to write a book for my 50th because I'm thinking like half a century, yay, let's write a book. And then I started on the manuscript, and then the lady that was writing it with me, she got breast cancer and couldn't continue anymore. So I put it on the shelf and continued my life and never got back to it. So it was sitting there for a very long time. But then I guess, you kind of write a book at a milestone. So I wasn't going to write my book on my 57th birthday, it didn't sort of have any bells that rang with it. So I thought 60 is a good time. And then we had our awful tragedy in the family, and I just couldn't even bring myself to think about that. So, things have happened along the way. And I think sometimes, it's just if something doesn't happen for a reason, then it's not meant to be. And so lots of doors have opened in my life, but if you can't open the door, it's not your door. So you move on. And I think in my life, I've followed a passion, I've followed a path that I've really enjoyed. And then that opens itself up to other doors as well. So I haven't ever, I don't feel like I've ever gone up. I seem to go out on these tangents, and then it's like my life is kind of being in and out and up and down, and finally I find myself at 60, which is interesting because 60 it's a big number, especially my kids think I'm old, my grandson thinks I'm old.
I've interviewed a lot of athletes and or people from a sporting background before on the show, and the thing that's really unique about you is that you've learned to understand your body almost
Mhm.
as a machine, as a tool in getting you to where you need to go. So, as you said, from a young age, you were in elite competitive sport. Like there is nothing more elite than being an Olympian. And
Mm.
I'm sure that, at the time you had trainers, you had physicians, you had scientists, you had nutritionists making a lot of
Not
decisions.
really. But not really. That all happened after my career.
Right.
We didn't really have nutritionists. We had a couple of scientists, at the Institute of Sport, but that all sort of happened, as I was retiring. So different ball game.
But would you agree that you were someone who understood your body almost like an instrument, that you would know that if you got your 8 hours sleep, it would perform differently to
Yeah.
7 hours sleep. If you ate certain things, you would be able to fuel your body to go faster, harder, longer. And the reason I bring this up is that often for mere mortals and not Olympians,
Mhm.
um, this information doesn't get taught to us. This information isn't even intuitively understood by us until we
Mm.
reach a health crisis. And I think that's what's interesting is that you are you understand that most women don't start paying attention to the signs until there is a health crisis.
Mm.
And you've been able to, I guess, put all of that experience of knowing your own body and understanding physiology and working with people who understand um, the way the body works to then amalgamate this information in the Happy Healthy You platform that you've created.
Mm.
And I'm curious about, one of the stats that I read is that you interact with almost 40,000 people a week, a day. I can't remember what it was, but so you've got a really great read on what
Mm.
women are experiencing and what they want and what they don't know.
That's right. You're spot on. And you know, um, well, a couple of things there. We started the business back in. Well, I've known Jeff for 26 years.
And Jeff is the
Um,
consulting naturopath who's the co-founder with you. Is that correct?
yeah, that's right. Yes, and we have a team of naturopaths and nutritionists that work with us. So we're all about prevention. We're all about nutrition and movement and meditation and natural supplements and looking after yourself and trying to teach ladies how to work out for themselves what is going on with their body. Um, Two of our naturopaths and nutritionists are young girls. They're in their early 20s, or they're 25 now, but they can talk to the younger audience, and some of our older naturopaths can talk to the perimenopause and the menopausal audience. So we've got a really good range of people. but pretty much everything that can go wrong has, gone wrong in my life. And, you just tend to understand it more if you understand it. So that sounds silly, but if everyone did one semester at university on human biology or physiology, they would sit there in class like I did, and the penny drops, and you go, oh, right, that's why that happens. And that's how it affects my body, because it's not about eating the cake and the fries, it's about what it does to your body on a cellular level
Oh, you're
every
speaking
single
my language. Absolutely.
every every single meal, and we think we can get away with it, and we do for a long time. And I did for a long time because I was burning off all the energy with, 6 hours of training every day. I could eat whatever I liked. So my diet has been pretty ordinary, probably until the last 10 years or so, when I started to realize that actually everything that you put in your mouth does make a difference.
What was the one thing that you think really impacted your wellness and your ability to handle the enormous amount on your plate and also life's hardest, worst moments?
Yeah, I think it was in 2007, and I didn't feel well. I was doing a race in Hawaii. Doctor told me not to race, but I did anyway. um, and 5 months later, I found myself in hospital, and I always knew I had an irregular heartbeat because I could hear it when I was sleeping. So, as an
Wow.
athlete, you're very, very in tune with your body and what's going to feel everything. And I knew something wasn't right. And my best friend is actually a paramedic, and she got me out of hospital. But long story short, I have a pacemaker and a defibrillator. And that did change my life because I couldn't do what I used to do. I used to go out on my canoe and paddle for 4 hours in the middle of the day while the kids were at school. Because my races in Hawaii were, 5, 6 hour races. And I couldn't do that anymore. And it was like cutting off a hand of a pianist. Like, now what? And it changed the whole direction of my life. And I had to find something that I could do on land where I could be around people, because if I was out paddling, I had to take a phone, I had to have an EPIRB, I had to have a buddy with me, I had to let people know when I was starting, when I was finishing. It's like, it just takes all the fun out of it. So my life changed then. I did a
How old were you
course.
when that happened?
I was
So,
46.
yeah.
Did a personal training course, went to uni for a couple of semesters because I always wanted to be a teacher, and I guess I have been. But I started running boot camps and retreats, and my whole life changed. And at first it was hard, but it was so enjoyable, and that's one of those doors that opened up to the side, not necessarily up, right? So it's just this.
Do you have any goals for yourself? I mean, obviously the book was a lovely milestone, um, and you've got the travel planned. I'd love to know, what are some bucket list items that remain for you or that you're working on now?
Um, I would like to. I'd actually like to write another book, n- not like the one I just did, but more about the adventures that we're going to have in the future. Um, we're going husky dog sledding in January, so I'm very excited about that. We were supposed to do that 2 years ago, but COVID put an end to that. And I don't know, it's just travel, getting settled. Um, I mean, the background here is the nice part of my office. If you saw that part of it, they're like just getting settled. I've got so many projects going on at once that it's I need to declutter my life. That's a big goal for me, because I think when you declutter your life, you feel, I don't know, you just feel more relaxed. But
Do you
I think for
work
me,
with
the biggest
anyone?
goal for
Do you
me is
have a
to.
life coach? Do you have a business coach? Obviously you've always trained and you've been a trainer, but I'm curious, do you have someone that helps you with that aspect of your life?
I have a couple of people that I turn to, yes, when I need some advice. One is my personal trainer that I've had for 12 years. She's great. My masseur is great. My ex strength training coach, he's great. And sometimes the best counseling you can ever have is a $5 coffee with your girlfriends.
Yes,
So, um,
I
yeah, and
concur.
my husband's really understanding as well, and we can talk about anything at all. We just sit down, go through things, and there's always a way to do something. Um, and we know that in the end, everything will be okay. But I'll tell you what, if you don't have your health, it's really hard to do the things that you want to do. So at the moment, for me, I feel like I'm back at square one. I've had 2 years of absolute, you know, horrendous sadness. And I feel like I've got to start back again. And I feel like I'm at square one. So I've just got to make my checklist every day. I'm going to make sure that I can be accountable to it and, slowly take just one step at a time.